Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's where you'll find our incredible short courses. In under 60 minutes, you'll grow all the key skills, covering specific areas like how to hire an assistant, grow a team, to list better properties, to grow better fees, and to master your pipeline. Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, I love this conversation with you because when you go to think about like the big shifters in performance, like it's amazing how all of a sudden you get the right mindset, you get the right attitude, that everything actually changes. And I was doing some work during the week in reviewing a guy by the name of Tony Schwartz, and Schwartz had done this thing called the Energy Project, right? And he said, your physical energy is the quantity of energy that you've got, but your emotional energy is the quality of the energy that you've got. So in other words, so if you're starting to think about that, you've got really good emotions, you've got a good mindset, you've got a good attitude, you've got a clear goal, you've got something you hooked onto, you're going to perform at a much higher level than anything else. So when you go to think about some big shifters inside of people's careers, people that you've coached, people that you've looked at PPD, as a really good quality conversation on that, you look at some of the people that have learnt their listing presentation in your business, does that make a big difference in how they prospect? If they get routine, does that make a big difference about how they get on the phones and have conversations?
Definitely. I think having that like mindset and that sort of energy that flows through your whole body and your day definitely does help you, become better, and you're going to do more and have a better mindset and sell more properties. But I think everyone has to work out who they are, what they actually deliver as a person to the client. Like, I'm good at certain things, you're better at others, and use that to your best ability because you're passionate about what that is within you that makes you that aspect of who you are.
Yeah. So when you got to think about how you look at individuals, what are the big things that got them there? So let's take Vince as an example, right? Because he started out, he was a coffee guy, ended up doing property management at PPD. So that gave him experience of what? Areas, people, property, landlords, tenants, leasing, management, all of that sort of stuff. And then he came into your team. What do you think have been some of the big shifters in his career that have allowed him to get to become one of the best agents working inside of the East? And definitely one of the best agents inside of your own business.
Probably where he was younger, coming from working class sort of type family, that he has a desire to want to get better and better, and he sort of hung around the right people to help him do that. So he's also always, I think, thought of the long game.
Yes.
Not like quick in and out, swapping agencies. I've got to leave property management. Like, we kept him in property management longer.
Yes.
And probably the routine, like he's very, he's as routine driven as I am, even more so. So I think when you do that and you you've got, you're healthy and you eat well and you train and you like hanging around the right people, like that'll manifest definitely.
The way that he dresses, how that changed. Yeah. I think about too that like I did a whole session with him just on his voice and getting it to be a bit more out of monotone and a little bit more expression and stuff about it. But also too just the confidence about marketplace and also to area. Yeah. But he became obsessed about becoming better and becoming really coachable. Do you reckon that's an important thing? Because like some people are almost like they're learn-it-alls, other people are know-it-alls, and the know-it-alls actually are perfectly prepared for a world that no longer exists, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, he listed a house yesterday over Rick Sorreo, like one of the best agents in Australia, because of a relationship and the buyer work that he did with that client, that they actually bought from Rick, and we listed their property, but because he dealt with them for so long in a certain marketplace, they felt obligated to use him because of also the higher energy levels that he offered versus other agents. Yeah,
and it's an important thing to actually realise. Do you ever see like some people in a business and go, oh, that's their blind spot? Like, you can just spot it straight away, like their lack of routine, or maybe they don't have everything sorted about at home, or they're lacking goals or direction, or they're just playing this same game, but they're not really thinking about, well, how would I change it? Because I bet you if I said, okay, we got to list 40 properties next month, how are we going to do it? And what your brain would go to, well, who would we call and what would we say and which list would we go after and how we go and do that? Whereas other people would go, oh, geez, man, I don't even know how we'd get one. Yeah, and so like literally you're more creative around the problem solving compared to where other people are.
That's what we're doing every day is problem solving. Looking at scenarios, like the list of my properties in front of me right now, I'm going, okay, where are we at? What do we do? Who do we need to work on? Do we have a buyer for? Like, it's basically that's what we are, we're problem solvers.
Does Alexander Phillips respond better to, someone who's kind of cracking the whip, or do you respond better towards the vision? Because I remember with your dad once, we had coffee in Batoni, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And I think you were writing about 2 or 2.5, whatever at the time. And he looked at me and said, "Oh, do you reckon Alex can write more?" And I'm like, "Yeah, for sure. He can easily write 4. And I remember your dad looking back at you and go, "Well, time to get hungry again." Like, do you enjoy that your dad always wants you to aspire for more?
Yeah.
And so that's the power of really good quality mentors, to push you to go to perform.